Hello, dear friends. This is The Medium's Harvest by Emmanuel, a book that came through the mediumship of Xavier. Amazing. This book brings to us new understanding of mediumship, on ourselves, and especially on this beautiful teamwork effort that we do in two realms. No longer we feel we are alone. We are always feeling that there is this beautiful world in the invisible world, as Kardec says, that is so present, so willing to help us out, and we need to be open for them. Today we're going to study chapter 77. Chapter 77 is titled Misguided Mediumship. Why is it important for us to talk about it? On the earth, many people think, since we are free to choose, that it's okay to simply say, "Sure, Jolija, you can put water during this class for sure. This is actually a spiritist meeting that we're doing virtually, but we consider it a serious meeting. So go ahead." And on the earth, we think there is free will. And since there is free will, we can choose whether we practice mediumship or not. According to the superior spirits, that's not quite how we should proceed. We actually see mediumship as an opportunity for us to repair mistakes of the past, to redeem ourselves, and to grow, to evolve. Law of progress is a law. It's not a choice. It's a law. Many people think, oh yeah, we progress. You can make choices to progress faster or slower, but not to progress is not a choice. It's not in the menu of God. I'm not going to progress. It doesn't happen. You may be stagnated for a while, but to say you're never going to progress, it's not possible. We don't regress, and we always progress. Life is going to push us to progress somehow. So free will is not to be used to deter the march of progress. It's to be used to see how we're going to customize in our own way this progress, this inevitable progress. We progress inevitably, right? Yara Gouveia? Inevitably we do. But what about misguided mediumship? Does it exist? Is it a problem? What if we decide not to practice it? Is that going to cause any problem? Let's see, because the higher spirits, they know better than us. Kardec wrote about it in a chapter titled The Development of Mediums, number 17, the Medium's book by Kardec, item 220. There are several questions and answers tonight. We're going to focus on item 3, okay? What causes spirits to abandon mediums? The way in which they use their mediumship is what most influences good spirits. The way in which we use our mediumship. We may abandon mediums when they use their mediumship on futilities or for ambitious purposes, or when they refuse to transmit our words or to collaborate in producing phenomena for incarnates who beseech them, or who need to see them in order to be finally convinced. God does not bestow this gift upon mediums for their own pleasure, even less for them to serve their ambitions. Rather, it is to serve their own progress and to make the truth known to mankind, to humankind. If spirits see that their mediums are no longer in harmony with their purposes or do not take advantage of the instructions and advice they give them, they withdraw and seek out more worldly words. That's what we were talking about. It's about the way we use mediumship. So, the question for us, should I use my mediumship or not, for us is no longer a question. Of course we should study mediumship. Who? Everyone. Of course we should practice mediumship in a safe environment with a group. This is not any longer the choice, because it's the inevitable march of the progress on the earth. Okay, and that's why Kardec made this book popular and accessible to the world. No longer it's restrained to a few. That mentality of many millennia, only special ones have mediumship, only those who are initiated. I'm sorry, but that is best. We're not saying here, go wild on the practice of mediumship. No. Go responsible on it. But not working on it, not practicing it, is no longer a question. We need to find the ways and the means to do it. Let me give an example. If you go to certain areas in Mozambique now, and Angelita is here, she's the representative of the Fraternity Without Borders organization. They have a beautiful work there. Not only there, but there. There's misery there. And children don't go to school in many places because there are no schools. And what do? Oh, I'm not going to study because there's no school. No. Let's find a way to make a school happen. And that's when friends from outside come to help them, creating schools, homes, resources, medical, psychological, in any ways and means to make that happen. So if you have, in the same way, and if you want to help Fraternity Without Borders, go to fraternitywithoutborders.org or fraternidadessemfronteiras.com, or talk to Angelita de Paula right here, okay? If you're listening to this at Kardec Radio or on demand, go to fraternitywithoutborders.org, my friends. So, for us, if you don't have, like the people in Mozambique in certain areas, they don't have schools. If you, where you are in the world, you don't have a spiritist group, if you don't have a mediumistic group in your spiritist center, it's about time for you to ask for help, to implement with planning, gradually, responsibly, plan your mediumistic educational meeting. Through it, we will gravitate to the practice, gradually, through the educational efforts, then to the other. How many people do you need? 2, minimum. 3, 2, 3. You don't need 10, 20, 30, 50. Actually, the smaller, the better, says Kardec, because it's more homogeneous. 2 people. No wonder Jesus said, where 2 or more are gathering in my name, there I will be. Because anywhere in nature, when you have 2 elements, you form a line. Wherever you have 2 neurons, you form a connection, what we call synapses in the brain. So connections, mediumship is about connections. If you have 2, you're done. You don't need 1 million people. And through the internet, you can have friends whom you trust over the internet. In our center, in Virginia, we have had for the longest time friends in 2 other places in the United States who didn't have groups studying with us and now working on mediumistic level. They have been coming for 4 or 5 years with us through Skype. And that can happen. You don't need to have a physical person there for the study part. For the mediumistic part, you will have it. But it's about time that we implement mediumistic study sessions with responsibility, conscientiousness, and then gradually marching towards the practice. We no longer should keep mediumship to a few. It's about time, right, friends? So, what does Emmanuel tell us? So, no longer in our dictionary, mediumship, the practice and the study, occurs because I want. It's law of life. It's part of the law of progress. We need to take care of that issue. And if you and I are here, it's because it's meant to be that we actually work on it. What does Emmanuel say about this? Chapter 77, Misguided Mediums. Public meeting on October 21st, 1960. Based on the item that we've read, 220, paragraph 3. With regard to the mediums abandoned to their own, let us imagine our will in the instrument of humanity's use in sustaining progress. The noble pen that refused to write, afraid of making a mistake, would end up for sure in a garbage cart, overpowered by some humble pencil that offered proof of goodwill. The fancy car that deserted from working with the excuse of preserving itself against mud and dust would lose the driver's devotion, and it would be dismantled by strange hands. The piano that tried to disfigure chords and melodies would withdraw the musician's attention, eventually ending up disguised as an obscure shelf. The hammer that imposed itself on the workman, revealing the purpose of disregarding his head, naturally would be left to his own, perhaps to fall under the control of some common criminal. Mediumship is divine talent to build comfort and instruction among humankind. The benevolent and wise spirits invite the individuals to collaborate with them in the work of enlightenment and elevation of humanity. The mediators who adhere are reborn in the world with the characteristics of the ideal instrumentation. Sometimes, however, in the prime of physical strength, the worker of the interchange, deceived by transitorial material facilities, refused to accept the commitment urged by the teachers of the greater life for a long time to resume their mandates. They excuse themselves with fear of humiliation and criticism, or exploit situations eager for luxury and power. The spiritual benefactors at this point renounce constructive insistence, leaving them to their own decision. Then, similar individuals, which have been born in the terrestrial body for the mediumistic function, are still mediums, but only the law of God knows how. It's clear cut. As Leah Severo kindly reminded me today, thank you, Leah, there is another chapter that we have already discussed in that line of thought. Chapter 34, Deserters, talking about mediums who fail to do what they need to do. But let's talk about first the emotional component of it, okay? Because our emotional lives are foundational. Most often, if not at all times, we avoid doing things out of emotional reasons, if I may say this way. It's because of fear. It's because we are skipping, criticism. It's because it's not comfortable. So that's what Emmanuel is telling us. Let's go back here. He talks about 4 scenarios: a pen, a car, a piano, and a hammer. A pen is a medium. Through the pen, my thought becomes written words. The pen is afraid of making a mistake. So let's write it down. Many people avoid studying mediumship and practicing mediumship because they are afraid of making a mistake. He talks about a car. A car is also a medium. Through a car, I transport myself and others to locations. And then the car doesn't operate itself because it's afraid to go through mud and dust. So, are we excusing ourselves of the hard work, of the sweat of mediumship? Because we're going to be amongst spirits of all different kinds and incarnates as well. The piano is a medium, is a mediator of music. A pianist plays the piano, and through the piano we hear music. So let's say the piano that doesn't play. What is going to happen to the piano? It's not going to be a piano. As he says, it's going to become maybe an obscure shelf and could play beautiful music. So it's not about us. It's not about the pen, the car, the piano, or the hammer. The hammer that can help build stuff and avoids it because, why? He says here, trying to see, like, if it's not me, I'm not going to help. So ego. Think about this. What are the reasons why we may potentially avoiding it? Because of others? He says, the mud and the dust. And then the car doesn't work. Doesn't bring people to places, transporting them for the benefit of all. Is it because we don't want to make a mistake? Then, why living? Why existing? Because God allows us to make a mistake, right? So, it's natural that we're going to make a mistake. I'll give an example that happened to me recently. Recently, I was giving a talk somewhere, and Mentor Joseph was guiding the talk. And then he made a comment. I got excited, and I added my own colors to it. And then he kindly said, Vanessa, let's make a correction. And I tried to make a correction. And the talk was being Facebooked. It was going to be recorded and stay there. At the end of the talk, during the final prayer, he came very kindly to me and said, I know you tried your best to correct, but we cannot keep that part of the comment there because it may be controversial, unkind, and people may take it personally. So avoid it, Vanessa. I'm not gonna be able to edit it because the software is not working. So he said, erase it. And I asked, erase it? Are you kidding me? I kindly said it, of course, as a student of his, and he said, Vanessa, it's up to you. But we would recommend that you erase. It's better to erase 99 truths than keep one false element in there. And I was sad, but I said, thank you for teaching me. It was hard, but I obeyed him. And I said, you know, I'm going to be more vigilant. So we make mistakes. It's natural. We make mistakes. What is the big deal? Not to correct. Right, Adilson? Mentor Joseph is always very attentive. But I, as a medium, I fail sometimes. And I am not going to do statistics here on how often I do, but I know. I put my elements, and he comes and coaches and says, I would change, I would correct, erase it, make it anew. So for us, it's natural. But not to do things because we're going to make a mistake is out of question. We need to do the rehearsal to grow and to progress. Right? That's patience. So, Emmanuel tells us more about the emotional component in Misguided Mediumship. He says that sometimes, because of material contingencies, we refuse to accept the commitment. It's when people say, but on the day of the mediumistic meeting, I have to work. But on the day of the mediumistic practice or the mediumistic lessons in the center, I have to do this, that, and the other. Okay. The mentors are not going to punish us. Nobody will. But, what is more important? But Vanessa, I have to work. Then find another way to make that happen. Today, because tomorrow may never happen. That's something that also the mentors have been training us with. Saying, no matter how much you invest in your career, on your family life, and etc., don't forget that the focus and the priority is the spiritual life. Therapeutic question for you and I. Let us meditate. Make statistics now. Write it down. Let's say just one scale, 0 to 10. How much are we prioritizing the true spiritual life? How much? 0 being not at all, and 10 being prioritizing 100%. How much are we prioritizing the true spiritual life? Am I going to avoid doing the works that need to be done because, like he's saying, refuse to accept the commitment because of transitory material easiness in life? But Vanessa, it's my daughter's birthday. You can celebrate the day before or the day after. Or like many of my Spiritist friends, they celebrate in the Spiritist Center. Why not? But what about the rest of the family? You celebrate another day, but that's the day. But the birthday is yours. Oh, if the birthday is theirs, but you respect them and they respect you. It's a two-way road. It's a two-way road. So we need to ask ourselves, is that fanaticism? No. It's conscientiousness. It's commitment. If for your work you would skip, why wouldn't we do the same for spiritual purposes? Because the spiritual life is more important than anything else. So he says here, the teachers of the greater life. Did you know there are teachers waiting for you and I? Right, Cesa. Seems like Mentor Joseph is following me. No, it's for all of us. You know, Cesa. Right, Adilson. We love Mentor Joseph and the other mentors, of course, because they are teachers of the greater life. Did you know there are many teachers and people are not paying attention? You want to have a teacher? Be a good student. What is to be a good student? Apply yourself, study, and practice. And the teachers are going to be there with us. So the beauty of it all is that Emmanuel explains to us that these teachers of the greater life, they urge us to go back. Come on, resume your commitment. But we give excuses. Like what? Fear of humiliation and criticism. Or we exploit situations eager for luxury and power. That's when people work on, for example, healing mediumship, and they start being successful, and they start having plans of being famous and traveling around the world and showing their healing mediumship. Please don't do it. Keep yourself grounded where you are. We all know that John of God, when he attempted to start traveling for the mediumistic healing works, he had a heart attack when he was here in the United States at the Omega Institute. And I share this because it became public. Mediumship is not a show. Oh, but I want to reach out to others. But when you reach out, you don't put on a show. I'm not going to say he did it, but the people who are in the team didn't keep it simple, right, Dulce? Sylvia Otero is saying, my fear is that people are going to think I am pushy. You know, there is a friend in Florida in the Broward Spiritist Society that I've come to know, Steve McPherson, and I think he's here. He's doing some interesting vlogs, and hopefully he'll join us at Kardec Radio soon. And in the 9th edition of his vlog, he interesting and very smartly talked about people thinking that we're pushy, that we're too fanatic. And he asked, would you think that Gandhi was fanatic or pushy, or Mother Teresa, etc.? Right, Steve? I would recommend that you watch his vlogs because they are really not only funny but smart, to the point, bringing the teaching straight from the books. It's fascinating. Good job, Steve. And in that number 9, if I'm not mistaken, he talks about it, and it's very smart. Would you say that Mother Teresa was fanatic? Gandhi and Divaldo Franco and Chico Xavier? No. We're just committed. But we're not talking to people to convince them. But we need to have the right to do what we need to do. If our family doesn't want to do it, it's okay. We say, stay here, I'll do what I need to do and I'll come back. We don't need to push, but we need to do what we need to do. Not doing it is not a question. It's a vlog, V-L-O-G, right? I will put, if you can, Steve, please kindly put a link to your vlogs so people here could access. It would be fantastic. Thank you. Right, Rihanna? So you see, our beautiful Spiritist community in English is expanding in the world. More and more we see beautiful works being done. in any language, but I'm saying specifically in English. We have more and more people. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. So, urged by the teachers, go back to the works. Oh, but I'm afraid people are going to think I make a mistake. People are going to think that I'm doing this, that, and the other. Or I want to use it for personal egotistic reasons. So the benefactors then stop. They renounce constructive insistence. You see, constructive insistence, leaving them to their own decision. This is beautiful in nature. We cannot push. If the flower is not open, naturally, God's not going to come and time will define it. So the spirits say, okay, if you don't want it, wait. But there are consequences. Not punishment. Natural consequences of the choice. As we often say to Virginia, Carlos and I, Virginia, you're only 4, but remember, for every action, there's a reaction. Think before you do anything. Because after you did it, there's going to be a reaction. If you jump from the table, you can jump. But if you fall, remember, you may hurt yourself. So when you cry, remember, oh, I forgot. And sometimes she's so funny, she says, Mom, and she says in Portuguese, eu pensei, because she's learning the conjugation. She's learning, like, you need to think before we take action. And in spite of it all, we're still going to make mistakes, right? Let me see here. Our dear soul is saying, ask them, Enter Joseph and others, how can I help the spirits? Because I have no idea, not perfect, I don't study too much, but I like to read and I have learned a lot with you, and I like to hear lectures online too. So, you're on the right track. Instruction, study, whether through listening to people or reading, but it's going to be very hard to move forward without a group. So finding a group of like-minded people to work on it is the ideal. Okay? Last Souls is saying we need to push and challenge ourselves. Exactly. It's imperative that we make effort and repeat it in order to learn. Right, Sylvia, I show my beliefs through my actions with everyone in every situation. I know, you're a loving family member. I know, Sylvia. So, here we have the teachers of the greater life. Do you want to be there, shouldn't? They're there, waiting for you. They're urging you. And we won't stop being a mediums, but as he says, but only the law of God knows how they are being mediums, because they're not using it. Right, soul? If we don't use it, thank you, soul, thank you. If we don't use it, we're going to be a deserter. Do you want to be a deserter? You're not a deserter, because you're here. So, what do? Commit. Commit to what? To your progress. And think about the emotional parts. And tell yourself, I can do it. Challenging situations are good for my progress. I accept the challenge. I accept this beautiful progress that is being operated upon me. But I would say, accept that you're being tutored by the higher spirits. For every one of us, there is at least one higher spirit, kindly, with a beautiful curriculum, taking care of each one of us. They customize it for you. They customize it for me, for us. So let us embrace their lessons. Wake up each and every day and I say, oh, dear teachers of the beyond, I am grateful that I am in the school of life. May I be a good student of yours. May I pay attention to what you want me to do. Give me the courage. Give me the encouragement so I can fulfill the lessons. Be a good student, right, Karina Listi? Right? Says, everything you're saying is matching current events in my life, but I'm fine. Guilt is not an option. Beautiful, says, always beautiful. It's not an option. You're right. So, what do we do? Accept. Tara Brach is a Buddhist psychologist in Washington, D.C. I've interviewed her years ago at Cardiac Radio, and the program is still there. You can listen to more than 3,000 podcasts at Cardiac Radio. Just go cardiacradio.com, click podcasts, or go straight to SoundCloud and our channel, and you're going to see several playlists. In the health and spirituality, you can type in Tara Brach, or Google it, Tara Brach Cardiac Radio, and listen to the interview, or go to her website. She has a beautiful book that matches what we're saying. It's this Christ consciousness on radical acceptance. I am a medium and I accept it. I accept that I'm being called to work upon it. I accept this call and go for it. Accept. Calm and ease your difficult emotions by reassuring yourself that the time has come, that you're not alone, and that you have all the resources at hand to use it and progress with it. Right? Right, Eliza? Welcome, Eliza. How are you? We're here also seeing John De Rosa, Sol, Souza, Cessa, La Souza, Steve McPherson, Rihanna, and Nico. Beautiful works, Rihanna. Keep on going. She's doing the Living Spring by Emmanuel in South Africa. Go on. Right, Renata? Cassadei, how are you? Solange, how are you, Solange? Dulce, Silvio Otero, Annie Mércia, in our dear Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Adilson, Edwin Bravo. What a joy, Edwin. How are you? Rudy, present and grateful for all of us being here. You're right. Dena Vieiro. How are you, Dena? Nora Brasil, how are you? Teresa Catapano. Right? Thank you, Renata, for your kindness. And Paula, beautiful hug to you. Nina Dewey, how are you? Angelita, Yara Gouveia, Fábio da Costa Júnior, how are you, my friend, and the friends over there? Justina Martiri, how are you? Raquel Bakeshi, Amanda Andrade, my friend Narciso, how are you? Julija, how are you? Leia Severo, Sunshine, the beautiful Divine Light Spiritist Center in Sacramento, California, right? Karina Lissi and Leia Severo teamwork beautifully to make Cardiac Radio sharpen up. Thank you. Rihanna is saying it's not always easy to find like-minded incarnates to practice spiritism with. It's a way of living and thinking 24/7. Not everyone is ready to put in study and work, but never give up and study and be loving to all. Thank you, Rihanna. And you know best the hard work, but it happens. I remember 20 years ago when I came to Baltimore, nobody was a spiritist, and here we are, friends. It's like a real harvest, right, Gustavo? Right, La Souza. Andre, it's Andre, and I love watching you. By the way, I'm 13. Big hug to you, Andre. Would love to see you here, huh? At the youth event at Cardiac Radio, the International Spiritist Youth Meeting, coming this July, the first weekend of July, here in our Washington, D.C. area. Go to cardiacradio.com and register there. Register. Say you're interested. Pretty soon we're going to release more information on that. What's going to happen when we come back tomorrow? Tomorrow, God willing, we will be back to study more, okay? And we're going to talk about phenomena. Yeah, there's a lot. He's going to talk about many different aspects and different kinds of mediumship. And Emmanuel is going to say, by disseminating the noble study and refining our words in our daily example, we will help others as much as possible to simply learn to reason. What is that again? Well, tomorrow, friends. Come back tomorrow. You know, we're not far away from actually wrapping up this book, but what is important is that we take the most of each lesson, right? So let us go back to the homework. Let's ask ourselves how much we're prioritizing our spiritual life, the spiritual refinement. Shall we, friends? So, big hug to you, friends, and until tomorrow, God willing.